Hello everybody, welcome back to another Yamato video. I don't know if you guys can tell, but Yamato has been my favorite deck to play right now. Out of all the decks that I do play, Yamato is just the favorable one into this meta. Red-Green Law is not coming back until OP07/EB01. So for now, I'm just going to be playing a lot of Yamato until we can go back to the baby boy, Red-Green Law. So today, I'm going to be going over a deck list that I've recently started enjoying more than the Sky Island deck list, and I know a lot of people have been asking me for like an informational video on how to play the decks that I play. So I probably will try making a Red-Green Law one soon, but for now I'm gonna be making the Yamato one, and then later on in the week I'll also upload a gameplay footage of this deck list that we're gonna be going over. So stay in tuned for that. But for today, let's go over the Wano Yamato. So Yamato, let's start off with the leader. Yamato leader can be best defined as a glass cannon. It has very little defense, but it is super strong, being able to have double attack constantly. And even into the Onami, which we'll get into later, just having double attack banish with big numbers is absolutely crazy, forcing your opponent to play really defensively. And that's kind of the goal with the Yamato leader. You want to try to use being aggressive as your defense, since you don't really have much defense with only 4 blockers and little counter. And while I do have, a good amount of counter, I say little counter because a lot of the counter is cards that you actually do want to use into the matchups. So like, let's take the Izos. The Izos are 2Ks. However, I like using them to rest, chump blockers, or even the Hioris. The both Hioris are good. I would use the OP05 Hioris more as counters, and the OP06 Hioris as, tech. And we'll go into, like I said, all these combos in the future parts of the video, but like I'm just saying, you don't really have a lot of counters that you want to just be throwing out there. So you want to use being aggressive as your defense, forcing your opponent to play defensively and not aggressively. And that's pretty much the whole goal of this deck. Just be super aggressive and try to end the game as fast as you can before, it gets to those 10 Dawn turns, 9 Dawn turns, where they can play these big bodies. So yeah, try to be aggressive, force your opponent to be defensive. So let's go into some of the combos and some of the techs that I use into this deck. We'll start off with the Mihawk. A lot of people I've seen are running Mihawks, and I do agree that the Mihawks are good. And into the Sky Island, specifically Sky Island, I know Sky Island package is really good with the Mihawk because its effect is just really crazy. You can play the Mihawk for 3 Dawn, and then play an Ohm into that, and if you have the Holly in hand, or if you search the Holly from the Ohm, you can play it. So that's three bodies for 3 Dawn. That's absolutely crazy. In this deck list, we have the Mihawk into, let's say, the Nekomamushi, the Kikunojo. You can't really do the Denjiro because it is a 5 cost, so you can't do Denjiro, but worst case scenario, you could do Mihawk into the Momonosuke Searcher. And that's pretty much it. I mean, Momonosuke, you can't really search with him, so it's not really worth playing the Mihawk into the Momonosuke because it's going to play it rested and you can't rest him to search. It's not really worth it to play the Momonosuke. I would just say just playing the Mihawk into the Nekomamushi or Kikunojo. However, into this deck list, I do see the argument into taking out the Mihawks just because, it's a 2K, yes, but it's not a searchable 2K1, and you only really have 2 things that you can play the Mihawk into, and I only run the Nekomamushis at 2, so I could see the argument into taking out the Mihawks, putting in more Nekomamushis, and getting more a different 2K or something that's Land of Wano, so you could search it off the Momonosuke. So I can kind of see, replacing that Mihawk. I have it just because I'm still playtesting with it, and I'll probably update it if I find something else that's more effective. Our next combo, I guess you can say, is the OP06 Hiyori into Kikunojo, Denjiro, Onami, Nekomamushi, or even the events that we have down there, the You're the One Who Should Disappear or 200 million volts Amaru. You can use the Hiyori into those events so you can gain life. Hiyori basically being able to take the top card from your life, top or bottom, and then being able to put something from your hand into the top of your life. And it all goes down to, what you're playing against. So let's say you're playing into the black matchup where it has a lot of pop. Go Hiyori into the Denjiro to put at the top of your life. So that way, if your opponent is at 3 or less life, you get to play the Denjiro, and black can't pop it with KO effects. They have to swing into it. Or, you know, let's say you're playing into, just throwing this deck out, Rosinante deck. It has a lot of chump blockers and it has a lot of blockers. So play the Hiyori into the Nekomamushi, and if they have 3 or less life, play the Nekomamushi from the trigger, and just use the Nekomamushi to swing into their chump blockers. Or even, you know, Onami to try to pop anything that's, you know, 5 cost or less that's being aggressive. Or the Kikunojo to just have big bodies on the board. And, you know, if they're 3 life or less, you get that fear of, if I don't pop this, it's going to be scary. But if I do, he's going to get a life. So, you know, it's kind of scary for the opponent to see Kikunojo. And into another popular combo that I do, but not all the time, but with this deck list, it's way better, is the Momonosuke blocker into either or Hioris. You know, you have both Hioris that are 2k counters. So if you play them, you can play the Momonosuke blocker to put them at the top of your life and then get them back into your hand when your opponent attacks into you. Or even Momonosuke blocker into Kikunojo or Yamato. You know, Kikunojo, you just put it at the top of your life and then you get that trigger effect again because it's from your life, so you get to play it again. And then next turn you could swing with it. Or when it's your turn again, you could swing with it. Or you can also do Momonosuke into Yamato 9-drop, just so you can have it back in your hand and being able to play it again, pop something, and then get another life, you know, if you're at 1 life. So it's pretty strong putting the Yamato at the top of your life, just because they're going to want to swing into it if they have big bodies. You just take it away, play it again. Next, you can also do Denjiro or Nekomamushi, you know, depending on your matchup. Like I said, it's all depending on your matchup. For the last, I guess, go-to combo is just Hody. Play the Hody Jones to rest any chump blockers and go for a game. It is risky because you are taking a life, so you only want to play the Hody Jones when either you're forced to because you have nothing else that you can play, or when you're going to go for a game. Hody Jones, just rest either the Dawn or the characters. Either or is strong because, you know, if you're playing a Nami and they have 2 Dawn up for the counter cards, just play the Hody Jones, rest their Dawn. They don't have any counters other than the events, so they can't use the events, and you just swing into them for free. Or, you know, if you're playing a deck and they're at 0 life but they have 2 blockers up, or they have 1 blocker up, even better, just play the Hody Jones, rest the blockers, swing 10k with the leader effect to give 2 rested Dawn to Hody Jones, and just swing 10k. Easy game. You know, they have to either counter out of Hody Jones and Yamato, or if you have other board, you know, just swing everything into them. Really hard to defend. So yeah, it's just a really good combo. And those are pretty much all the combos. You do see that I have the 9-drop Roronoros in here, just because those are pretty much like the guaranteed game finishers. If you're at a point where like you're ahead in life and they're at like 1 or less life, just play the Roronoros and just swing big next turn. You can even use leader effect to use those rested Dawn that you used for the Roronoros effects. Just put those rested Dawn onto Zoro to swing even big with those. But I did mention this like a little bit earlier. I have a card in this deck for each matchup, and I kind of want to increase the cards of Denjiro and Nekomamushi, more so the Nekomamushi, just because its effect is just so good, being able to attack active characters. So good to get rid of, you know, any blockers. So like, let's say your opponent has 2 blockers, 2 chump blockers, right? You play the Izo, you have those 3 rested Dawn, so you give 2 rested Dawn to the Nekomamushi. With the Izo, you rest 1 chump blocker. And then with the Nekomamushi effect, you swing into the other blocker. And then you just have free range to attach all Dawn and swing with leader into life, or, you know, do whatever else you want, but they can't defend it because they have no blockers, so they have to counter out. So, you know, like Nekomamushi, good for any counter or good for any deck that has a lot of blockers. Denjiro, good into the black matchup that's going to be popping a lot, so he can't pop. He has to waste the swing to get rid of the Denjiro. And then the Onami, good into the yellow matchup. You know, not more or less in the life, but more into your hand. Play the Onami, give your leader banish, try to get rid of any you know, blockers they have beforehand. You're going to do the combo, and then just give banish to Yamato, attach all Dawn, and swing big. Force them to, you know, get those cards out of their life and into the trash. No trigger effect gained. So yeah, like me and my friends, we will often joke about it, but honestly, it's just the play into the Yamato. If you don't have a blocker on board and your board isn't scary, I'm attaching all Dawn and swinging with leader. I'm gonna force you to take the hit or give me all those cards in your hand. and it's just a good strat, because I'm gonna be super aggressive and you're gonna be scared to really play aggressive, because I'm just gonna be out aggressing you with my double attack swings. So that's pretty much the whole deck list. Just be super aggressive, have all these combos in hand for different matchups. And I didn't even talk about the event cards, but the event cards are self-explanatory. Use the 200 million volts to buff yourself up with leader, and then rest the blocker with its second effect if you were at 1 or less life, and then zero cost event. Just being able to trash any bricks in hand for counter, like if you have a bunch of Yamatos and Zoros, or if you have cards that don't have counter, just trash them. Use the zero cost event, or even into the heal where you just put them in the top of your life for another life. So all these cards have their place in the deck list, and it's just you got to learn how to play it. I tried my best to explain it to you guys, and now it's your guys' turn to go ahead and try it and test it out for yourself. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Like I said, I'm gonna upload after this video some footage of this deck list going toe-to-toe with some other decks, and then I'll try to upload a red green law video as well, because I know some of you guys have been asking for a red green law informational video, so I'll try to upload one of those. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.